Mr. Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline. What's he doing today? Joining us, playing in a charity golf tournament, doing it all. What's up, Sal?
Jeremy, I mean, it's a car right now. It's not the helicopter.
Oh, okay.
Charity golf. It's for Eric Wood, the Evan Wood Fund over at Oshai Children's Hospital. Always glad to be a part of that. I MC for their post-golf event. Play out there. It's in Batavia. And then, I'll be doing that. And then I'll be at Shoshone tonight for baseball, right?
Very nice.
Got to be everywhere for a baseball game. But, yeah, it's a great event and love being out there. I got Josh Reed with me from Channel 4, our buddy in the car. He's part of the team. We play out there, and it's a really good time. Now, listen, just because I said Josh and I are playing, don't go lining the streets of Batavia hoping to see some stars, running down the street and asking for autographs, everybody. But, no, we're going out there to play, and it's nice. Oh, wow, we saw a deer on the 90. You know what it is coming out here.
Well, as you drive into Batavia, does it feel like a little bit of a practice drive out to St. John Fisher?
Yeah, it does actually a little bit. I actually had to come out this way a couple of weeks ago, and I thought that. I'm like, man, I'm going to be making this drive a lot coming up soon. Sometimes you go back and forth. We stay in the dorms a lot, and, you guys are out there. But that's going to be here before you know it. And, we're just, 5 weeks away, a little over that maybe, around there. And I looked at the schedule. It's funny. Yesterday, a lot of people said to me when the schedule came out, boy, they just shorter and shorter. Like, actually, it's the exact same number of practices the last 2 years.
Yeah.
They have 11 practices. One is closed to the public. It's open to the media. So 11 practices, 10 open to the public, and then they're done, 2.5 weeks. So it shortened up 2 years ago, but it's been the same ever since. 23, 24, and now 25.
Did it used to be that after the first preseason game they would go back to camp, and now basically when the preseason begins, camp is over?
Yes. In fact, I remember, I got to go back now, and again, we're going back probably even pre-COVID, but when they had 4 preseason games, and we would play, I remember once or twice, because I'm on the team charter, we would take off from Rochester for a preseason game or something like that, because I think that happened once or twice, if I remember correctly. But either way, it might even be back in the Rex days. But yes, to answer your question, they would go back for maybe 3 days after the first preseason game, and then before the second preseason game, they would break camp. Not anymore. This is you go up to August 7th. First preseason game is at home on the 9th, but the 7th is the last day, and then they're back. And I do think maybe 3 preseason games plays a part of that, right? Because now you only have 3 games. It's not as much of a ramp-up, and you want to get back and start working on what you need to work on and finalizing your roster over the next few weeks.
Did anyone else hear the term 4 preseason games and have like a shiver run down their spine?
Yep.
Like, oh my, we used to do that.
We weren't old enough to remember 6 preseason.
Oh my goodness,
6. I mean, I remember the couple of times, or was it only the one time in my lifetime, the Bills are in the Hall of Fame game, and it was 5, and that was just like,
that's a lot.
It's a third of the games you play in the regular season.
I was just looking up the Hall of Fame game. Do you know who it is this year? It's the Chargers and Lions, and that'll be July 31st, and they report to camp on the 16th. Chargers veterans on July 16th.
July 31st is the Hall of Fame game?
Yeah.
July 31st, the Hall of Fame game.
I don't know if I ever remember it being in July or that early.
There you go.
Do you think, Sal, that there will be any talk this coming month about when this will be, how training camp will be in the future for the Bills once the new stadium opens, as they've been going kind of year by year, haven't they, with whether they'll be at St. John Fisher or not? And this is actually a question I feel like we always bring up since McDermott got here, and there was always the talk of whether he actually even liked going away for it, and he has said repeatedly he has. But I don't know. Do you think that the future is cloudy for where they'll be at training camp?
It's funny you say that because it has been a talk for a long time, and I would tell you as I sit here today, I'm not I don't know this for sure. Like, this is not like reporting information, but I'm pretty confident they'll be there next year because of just the way the stadium will be opening next year. And you'll just, what's that look like with construction still going on in the summer and making sure that you have enough room and space. I think after that, anything could happen. But I do believe Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane when they say that they value going away. Because what's funny is we kind of thought that was just like saying that to say that as part of the organization when they first got the jobs. But guys, since then, they've signed multiple extensions to go back to St. John Fisher. And even before the stadium stuff came. And I do think they find a lot of value in it. Well, what they find value in is the camaraderie. It's having your one spot where everybody is together for meetings, for meals, for getting together, for the camaraderie at night or in the morning or whatever that happens. And I do think that's important to them. I also think it's important to remember there is a business side to all this, right? I mean, when Russ Brandon started St. John Fisher training camps back in 2000, it was a good idea to move it, east of Buffalo and expand that fan base, and they really did. And it's really been great for them, and Fisher's been great for them. But I think now even, after years and multiple people kind of being in charge, staying with St. John Fisher, partly because they see the value in it from the business standpoint. It does matter to have that fan base. Look, the Bills are actually one of not as many teams who go away these days. Most teams don't go away these days. They stay at their facility. And the Bills could do that because of what they have at their facility. I think that, though, they really enjoy the camaraderie and bringing it to the fans, and that would change a little bit on how it would look at training camp in Buffalo and Orchard Park. So, look, I think anything's on the table after the new stadium is built, but I think that this is a model that they prefer.
Sal Capaccio joining us on the Western Hotline. Bills training camp dates are out. It'll be July 23rd that they roll off to St. John Fisher. Sal, one thing, there was a story, we were talking to Marcel Louis-Jacques yesterday about the Dolphins, and Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, somewhere along the way, the Dolphins are moving the times of their practices to earlier in the morning, and that might be because of the heat. The Bills used to practice at different times and then move things to earlier in the morning. And Sal, is this sports science? Is it personal preference? The Bills consistently keeping these morning practices at St. John Fisher for the last, 5 years, 6 years? It's been a while where the schedule has remained fairly consistent.
I don't remember. I don't know. Maybe Josh can answer. He's sitting next to me. Do you remember Sean McDermott ever having non-morning practices? It consistently is always in morning, right? I think so. Josh even said, I think you have to go back to the Rex days for them to have the later practices. But I think since Sean has been here, and yes, I will tell you, it's partly sports science for sure. They're very big into that. But it's also because they just don't want their guys in the heat of the July, August, St. John Fisher for sure. So I think all of that is baked into it. But since Sean McDermott's been here, I think we went back, I guess, to 17 and 18 and check it out. But it's been fairly consistent, guys. There have been morning practices, and everything just kind of follows routine. And it really works for you get Sean McDermott or Joe Brady or Bobby Babich at 9 a.m., right? You get to a couple players, and then practice at 9:45. Their media's done in the morning. They get on the field. They're done at noon, and then everything's done. And, they have the rest of the day to do all their meetings, have all their film work, have all of their weightlifting and all that, and it really works out. So I think they like the routine of it. I do think sports science plays into it, but I also think it's, the heat, and you want to make sure you stay with the health and safety of the players.
Sal Capaccio with us on the Western Hotline. So, Sal, when we get to training camp, what do you feel like will be the biggest story when we arrive at camp? And do you have a prediction of what maybe once camp begins, what is something that we'll be focusing on?
I think wide receiver is going to be a big one because of, A, the competition that we've seen brought in, B, because of what happened, after the draft on WGR and Bean, and obviously with you guys. I think that's going to become a storyline. It's probably going to be focused on by Hard Knocks. I think Hard Knocks itself is going to be a storyline once we get there. From our standpoint, from the media, we're going to be watching and looking, what are they filming? What are they talking about? Oh, my gosh, let's watch that first episode, see where that is. So that's probably going to be a storyline. And then, of course, guys, just the new players on defense. You go right to corner, and Max Harrison and, competing. I think Tre'Davious White starts, my opinion is, I said this on Always Game Day Buffalo, Matt Bogan this week, I think Tre'Davious White starts off as your corner 2 to start, and you give every bit of runway to Max Harrison to win the job, but he's got to win the job. I don't think you just hand it to him. I think Tre'Davious White, it's not his job to lose. I think it's Max Harrison's job to win, if that kind of makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. It's a little over a month away to get to free agency. Sorry, not free agency. I'm thinking of NHL now. To get to training camp. Before that, we'll do NHL free agency. Sal, a thought on Jaire Alexander? I think this is, we talked about him when he was let go by the Packers, and I think it's a nice move for the Ravens. It's the kind of move the Bills might have made in a different offseason because Jordan Schultz reported the two sides had been in contact. But once the offseason was kind of complete, I didn't see Jaire Alexander as a realistic possibility for the Bills. So I don't think they missed out here. I just think that they ultimately took a different path.
I remember coming on with you guys the day it happened, and I said I think Jaire Alexander could be a perfect Baltimore Raven, but I don't know if they'd be interested. And certainly they were, because he is. He's a perfect Baltimore Raven. That's the way he plays. That's kind of that attitude of the Ravens, that type of player, right? But at the same time, that's an area they haven't been able to kind of shore up, at that one corner spot. And if he could stay healthy, he is a difference maker, and that could really help them on the defensive side and allow them to do even more with Kyle Hamilton and some of the other guys they have on defense. It's all about staying healthy. And look, $6 million, whatever. I don't know what the actual money is for cap hit. Maybe that's it. It's a nice deal for him, right? And so I even if the Bills were interested, at this point, I don't think they could have that kind of money to be able to pay him to bring him in on a 1-year deal. But after Jordan Schultz said the Bills had looked into trading for him and that didn't happen, the Bills go out and sign Tre'Davious White. They sign Dane Jackson. They draft Max Harrison. I think, to me, that just means that you're set with what you have, and you're not going to go revisit that.
Sal Capaccio. All right, Sal, good luck. Hit him straight. Last time we played in the scramble together, we did all right. Bring your A game.
It's going to be windy.
Yeah, it's going to be windy.
It's going to be windy today. Listen, it's fine. It's Eric Wood's tournament to lose. Eric's like a scratch golfer. I mean, his tournament to lose. And I know it every year. I'm like, dude, you can't win your own tournament, right? I mean, but, he's always right up there. So, yeah.
All right. Thanks, Sal.
You got it, guys.